Hi, hello, hi, and welcome to all our hearts and minds. Thank you again for tuning in. We're here to discuss all things that have been on our hearts and minds, the good, the bad, the concerning, and uplifting, or just straight talk. We're your hosts, Kimmy, our passionate heart,
Yeah, yeah.
and then there's me, Jeanette, our mind and chronic overthinker. Let's get into it.
Yes, we shall.
Okay, back
Hmm.
again, listeners. New episode after not having one uploaded last week, but we're back at it again.
Yeah,
So we're going to jump into our checkup, well-deserved checkup and check in. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm okay, but it's allergy season, man, and let me tell
Mm.
you, these allergies are kicking my tush right now. It's a high pollen count right now, and both me and my daughter we suffer from allergies, and so we're suffering a little bit right now. But overall, the week was okay.
Mhm.
Some people at my work seem to think that they can come into the place just hired and just flip it up, toss it around, and it just doesn't work that way. And so we're going through the growing pains right now.
Going through
But
some growing pains at work.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, this
Okay.
new lawyer, man, she's something else, boy. Let me tell you.
Mhm.
But overall, the growing pains, sometimes it can get frustrating. But overall, the week was okay. I
That's
mean,
good.
not too much to complain about, but overall, we got through it. It's been nicer weather,
Yeah, weather's getting a little bit nice.
right? Which is encouraging. But overall, how are you doing? What's going on with you?
I'm pretty good. Just I've been having with some a nagging shoulder issue. That
Mm-mm.
it's been getting better, but I don't know if it's the way I sleep. I actually just bought one of those pillows, those fancy pillows that
Yeah,
they say.
where did you get it? If you don't
I
mind me
just got
asking.
it on. I hate to say it, but I got it on Amazon. But I just
Okay,
needed.
no, I'm
I
gonna
got
look
it
for
on.
one because I've been trying to
I
find
got it on
one.
Amazon because I just needed it right away. Like I was in the heat of my shoulder
Oh
pain. I'm like I
yeah,
cannot sleep. If I sleep on this anymore, it's just gonna get worse.
yeah, yeah.
But I think they call it a cervical pillow,
Okay.
and it's the kind of shape it does, and it's
Yeah, I
usually
know. I've seen it. It's supposed
yeah,
to
and
help
it's
with a lot of things for sleeping. Yeah.
so yeah, shoulder is one, but if you have neck issues or just and and it just helps with generally sleeping in, I guess, the ideal sleeping position for a human. I guess I don't know. I'm trying
Hmm.
it out. This one I feel the only thing I think I would change is maybe I might need a little bit of a firmer foam. Like the foam is
Okay.
I feel
Okay.
like the foam when I lay on it, it's fine, but I'm feeling like it probably does after like a few hours, probably sinking because it is foam. It's gonna sink, and so
Right.
I don't think I think it could be a little bit better. But I'm trying something because it was just I was noticing even before I got hurt my shoulder, I was like I've
Mhm.
been noticing I'd be waking up with a sore kind of that same area is like sore and like uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I know I have to change my pillow situation, so I'm trying to figure that out. But
Yeah.
other than that, I've been really good. I'm happy. I'm getting used to the fact that we're getting into spring season and just
Yes.
doing some little small things around my house. Like I can't do a whole spring cleaning session, so I'm just doing little projects here and there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but the biggest project I haven't done, which is get rid of some of my clothes. I need to clear out
Oh,
some of this shit.
girl. Mm.
And you know what? Since I moved into this place, I never really fully unpack certain things. Like I still have boxes in my closet from when I first moved here. I've been living here about 7 years now, maybe eight. Is it eight? I moved in here in 2017, so that's 3 plus 5. Yeah,
Yeah.
8 years. Yeah, 8 years now. And I had books and stuff, and I was like, no, I don't want to clutter my place. Da 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 da.
Mhm.
So I'm kind of in a limbo right now because it's like I live here and it's my home, but I honestly am thinking about getting a bigger space and getting out of the condo situation.
Mhm. 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 Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm like, on one hand, I wanna like unbox some things and this clear out some clutter in my closet, but on the other hand, I'm like, this space, I don't see this space right now with a bookshelf. Like I need a bigger
Right.
space
Yes.
before I have
Yes.
to, you know what I mean? My space, I
Yeah.
have a good amount of space, but I don't feel like I'd like to see a bookshelf in my space right
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Because you have to be careful because it's a fine line. Like you can cross that line so carefully to clutter.
Exactly. And
Like,
I like
jeez.
Right, right, exactly.
It's
It can
so
go
easy.
so easy,
Like,
especially in like an apartment setting, right? So that's my
even
thing.
even we're in a little townhouse, and even in
Hmm.
here, like every room I have to consider, because
Hmm.
it's like it's so easy to get cluttered, like so very easy, and we just
And
need
you
to
know
be
what?
more cognitive of what we have,
Yes,
you
and
know.
that's just what it. That's true, and I have to think about, and I feel like I'm in limbo because I don't know how much
Mhm.
longer I'm going to be here. If I said, okay, this
Mhm.
is, I don't plan on moving anytime soon, then I could just be like, I need to figure this out. But because I'm like,
Right.
I'm on the on the cusp of like trying to get something bigger,
Mhm.
that I'm like,
Mhm.
I don't want to start a whole thing and then, you know. But
I know.
anyway, besides that, yeah, I'm good. I'm happy that spring is coming, and
Yeah. 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 The
I've
good
been in
weather
good
is on its
spirits.
way. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. So, all right. So, sounds like we're doing pretty good, and
Yeah.
that's always a blessing.
Mhm.
So, we will jump into our headlines, and before I get started, to our listeners on the episode right now, thanks again for tuning in and staying with us and catching up with us. As you listen to us, please continue to rate the podcast with stars, which are wherever you listen to the podcast, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, wherever you listen. Rate, comment on whichever platform you prefer. We're also on YouTube. And thanks again for tuning in.
Yes. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting, and coming back. You know,
Yeah.
each and every time. So we're so glad. Yeah.
All
Mhm.
right. So we will jump into our first headline, which is, as you guys listen, if you see our podcast title, we are based in Canada and Toronto,
That's right.
and we have a new prime minister,
Yes.
Mark Carney, who was the replacement for the Liberal Party in Canada once Justin Trudeau stepped down. The world
Mhm.
knows Trudeau. I need not to say much about him, but
No.
I mean, the Liberal Party that he was a part of was going to be in trouble if he stayed on,
Yeah.
and I
Big time.
believe I believe the Liberals won because they decided to switch out the leadership to Mark Carney. So it was not a majority window. I know I'm not going to get into how our politics work, but there's two ways
Too
you can
much. It's
win.
too much
You
over here, so
There's too much you
please
can
on.
win, but there is also called a majority win and a minority win.
Mhm.
And all that
Mhm.
means is that they don't have veto power in the House of Commons when they want to pass bills and
Mhm.
legislations and all of that. So I'll just keep it at that. His opponent was Mark Poilievre, who was kind of building up during the COVID time and leading a little bit
Mhm.
after COVID. Was building a high profile because, again, like I said, a lot of Canadians were unhappy with Trudeau and some of his policies and just how he was dealing with the country.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think, um, but one of his downfalls, I believe, because I don't know if you remember, if you know, but he didn't even win his riding as an
No, I
MP.
heard, and I was like, I think, was it
Like, yeah,
Quebec, Ottawa, Quebec? They said
yeah, so,
we're done with you.
yeah, I don't know if, yeah, it's Ottawa or Quebec. I can't remember where. I think maybe Ottawa. I don't remember where,
I
but
feel
one of
like
those.
it's Ottawa for some.
Yeah, I believe it's
Yeah,
Ottawa. But
but they said
regardless,
no, sir. We're done with you, sir. We don't want nothing to do with you again.
and
Um,
because I believe the tariff thing is what saved, what
the
bolstered
Liberal Party, 100%,
the 100%,
hundred
because
percent.
before the whole tariff Trump and the tariff war, like Trump's tariff war began, Poilievre was kind of touted as like a Trump Jr. in Canada. Like
Yeah,
he
he
was kind of,
was.
that was kind of his brand. And for all the Canadians who are upset with how things went down with COVID and everything, I get it, and that's why a lot of them were looking to him, Poilievre, as their savior. But now with Trump with the tariffs, everybody hates Trump.
Right, and anything of him, anything
In this
kind of
country,
remotely like him.
yeah, in
So,
this country, we're very much anti-Trump with what he's been doing with the whole tariff and import export industry, basically.
I'm
And
still trying to figure out what the hell we did to Trump. What the hell did we
no,
do to you?
it's just he. No, we're
He
not going to get
bought
into
too
that. It's
much.
not about Canada. I think it's about something he thinks he's doing in the U.S., but he's really not doing.
You know, you
Um,
don't pick a you don't you know you don't pick a fight with your best friends. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
in terms of the world stage, we were, because Mark Carney has made it quite clear we are no longer friends. We're no
Mhm.
longer, you know, trading partners. We're no longer none of that. And it's unfortunate because, well, for many reasons, it is fortunate. It is a good thing for Canada. However, just the way that it had to go down was really, kind of disturbing. And I feel like, people don't want to hear any sort of rhetoric that sounds anything similar, familiar to Trump. And so, unfortunately, Polyev didn't,
Yeah,
he sounded
exactly.
too much like him. Too
His
much like him.
connection to that administration and that branding went against him with the new developments this year, pretty much. So he was
Yes.
screwed. Because
But what?
again, it's one thing to
Mhm.
lose, but you don't even win your seat. That's like,
That's a whole different ball game up here
yeah.
in Canada. Okay, like
Yeah.
you didn't even get your seat, bro.
You
Like
know who else
so,
didn't? You know who else didn't win their seat? Jagmeet Singh for the
I heard,
NDP.
yeah, but I expected that one.
Yeah, he's been looking. I think it's time for them to change leadership. To be honest,
100%.
yeah, all the
And I
momentum
know
they
this
had.
sounds really wrong, but
Mhm,
he will never be government. I'm sorry, Jameet Singh or whatever, Mr. Singh.
mhm.
I'm sorry, but he will never be government. He won't.
And
And the
we say,
reality
and
is,
she's
in
saying this
Canada, he
because
will
if you
never
guys
be the
don't,
face of any sort of government in Canada. He would never
sorry,
be.
mhm.
And as much as that sounds, whatever it
Can you
sounds like,
explain why that is? Because they don't
well,
people,
because he's Indian,
and
any old Indian,
he's
he's
not
Sikh.
just exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Yeah.
He's Sikh, Indian man, turban and all. Okay, which hey, listen, I ain't got no problem with it.
No,
Really, I don't have no problem with it. Maybe it would be nice to see some, ethnicity in in government. Maybe it would be nice. However, the reality is that here in Canada, I'm sorry, we're not that progressive
no,
enough
no.
to have a Sikh turban wearing Indian man leading our country as the face of our country. It's just the reality. I'm sorry. I
Mhm.
have to put that out there because we need to keep it real. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Here in Canada, no. It won't work. And on top of that, with him, I don't think he's in it for the right reasons anymore.
I think he's a career politician. He just,
Pretty much.
yeah,
He's trying to retire. He wants to get his few million and go sit down someplace. He doesn't want to do this anymore. You could tell. Yes, he's very. He has a lot of energy still, and
yes. He always has the energy.
he
That was
always
like
has
what
the
I liked
energy.
about him. That's what I liked
That,
about him.
and I do like a lot of the things that I hear him saying, and I feel like he does kind of keep the two prominent parties in check. Like
Hmm.
I think he does. However, the reality is that I'm sorry, I just don't see a Sikh turban wearing Indian man being the face of Canada. That's just keeping it real. It's unfortunate. Maybe we're just not there yet as a nation, but it's just the truth. But one thing I did want to say about this whole I guess, run for government was Mark Carney did something I found to be strategically genius. So
Hmm.
at one point, Polyev was his whole thing, his whole big talk was around the carbon tax.
Yeah.
It was a big issue that he was pushing with this carbon tax. And why
Hmm.
do we have this carbon tax? And explain this carbon tax. And where's the money from the carbon tax going? And blase, blase. Well, Mark Carney said, okay, take out the carbon tax then. Take it out. And he did.
Hmm.
Now, what's Polyev going to say? His campaign kind of went downhill.
Yeah, because the liberals pretty
It
much
took a
took that.
big hit.
Hmm.
It took a really big hit because I was like, wow, Mark, a strategy, Japan, a strategy. Yes. Because I was like, nobody could really explain. I understood the concept behind the carbon tax. Don't get me wrong. However, a lot of people, we were getting taxed. We're one of the countries in the world that gets taxed the most. So to put another tax, like, come on, bro, it's too much. And so when he took it out, Mark Carney, he just took it out. He literally took the box that Polyev was standing on underneath his feet. And at that point, it was like, okay, so what else you got? That's your big talk. So what else you got? Right? And I think that kind of it didn't help with him in winning at all. I think it was a really good strategy. I think it really worked to help him. And at the time, made people pay more attention to him, because we were all arguing about, we didn't like this carbon tax thing that we have here. So the fact that he took it away, the fact that he shut up Polyev, and the fact that people have more money coming into their pockets and less money that they're spending at the pump, yeah, that was a really good move. Really good move. And I think it was one of the moves that solidified his position, and getting him into government, or keeping the Liberal Party in power. And so we'll see. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do. And
Hmm.
I haven't been excited about politics in Canada for a very
Yeah,
long time.
exactly, exactly. We need, honestly, yeah, Trudeau, you put in your time, but it was time for him to go, and yeah,
and
I'm
and I
happy.
and I do thank Trudeau for his time. I think early out in his career, he was doing great things for Canada, but after a while, I feel like every politician goes through this, or every
They
member of
all,
guard.
I think
They
it's in
all
nature.
eventually, either they get tired or they get greedy. You know,
Yeah.
and I think he kind of had two in one. I think he
Hmm.
was tired and he was greedy. The man lost his family while being in power. He literally
Hmm.
lost his family, like,
Hmm.
gone. And I think that's a lot. Then people were hating him. He was going across province to province. People were booing him when he's getting off the bus and thing. Yeah, it was a lot, and he did put in some work. Like, I'm not going to say he didn't put in work. He did. However, towards the end there, it was like, you're tired and greedy at this point. So we need you to come up out of there. We need you to come up. We need to switch you up. Because he
Yeah.
was in power for 10 years. That's a long
Yeah. That's a
time,
long time.
right? So in America, it's a 4-year term, right? And you see, like, you can see when a president in the United States goes into power and when they come out of power. They
Yeah, they
look
look.
old, they look haggard, okay?
Yep.
They age like, they look like they aged a couple decades. Like,
Yep. Yep.
it's a lot. It's a
It's a
lot, and I
proven
can
fact.
understand that.
Yeah.
Even with Trudeau, like, you could tell he aged. He was one of the good old boys shaking his pretty hair when he came up in power. You understand what I'm telling you? By the time that man left, he looked like a shell of himself.
Yeah, it's true.
He
It's true.
did. So I could tell, and it was time. It was time. And so now, Mark Carney, let's see what you're gonna do. Let's see
Yep.
how you're gonna handle Mr. Trump
So
and
we'll
his
move
tariffs.
on to a quick connect. We won't do too many things here. But the tariff. So there's been a couple of updates with the whole tariff war that
Mm-hmm.
Trump has started, his global tariff war. And I think the big one, I guess I'll just mention, is with China in that has gotten some people up in arms with China, is they had this agreement, and I feel like China probably has it with us as well. It's called de minimis, and it's an
Mm-hmm.
exception called de minimis, and pretty much that exception allowed for goods under $800 to avoid import duties
Yeah.
in the U.S. And that's why we're people over there, and I'm assuming for us over here, we're able to order from Shein and
Mm-hmm.
Temu and Fashion Nova and all these places and not be charged duties. Because if you shop from the European stores, like I've learned from shopping at ASOS, them duty
Mm-hmm.
fees, even if you're
Mm-hmm.
just buying $200 worth of stuff, those duty fees, it's almost like, damn,
It's
I
almost
always,
double sometimes of how much
no,
you're spending.
no, it's about 50, maybe. Like, so if I buy an order of $200 plus stuff at ASOS, I'm going to get charged about $50 to $60. And
Right.
and every time I do it, I'm like, shoot, I keep on forgetting, but that's why if I'm going to shop from ASOS, I'm going to do a whole haul. Might as well just get a whole haul. Don't buy one
Right, and
thing.
just pay one something. Right.
Exactly. You pay a haul and just assume you're going to pay $50 on top of that when you get your stuff. But anyway, the benefit of people who are shopping from a lot of Asian and Chinese in particular storefronts or whatever, right? So, and forget that's just a regular consumer. Now think about the businesses, like you mentioned, the Targets of the world, or even the small businesses or people who have small e-com sites. A lot of them get
Mm-hmm.
their stuff and merchandise and stock from China
That's right.
because of that exemption rule where they don't have to pay um fees, like
Yeah.
import fees.
Yeah.
So now that
Mm-hmm.
that's gone, now they're facing empty shelves. They're
Yeah.
facing higher having to increase the prices of their products, which will put a risk to their business because customers don't like it when their
Nope.
prices go up.
No.
And so yeah, this is now the real, let's call it, impact of this tariff war, particularly in China, um, is hitting the US. And of course, we know, another thing is the impact on retailers. So again, nobody cares about the little man, right? And the little man is hurting very hard
What? The
by
little
this,
man's dead. Okay,
but
sorry.
the targets, but yes, the little man, but we really get it to when we look at the targets in the Walmarts, and pretty much and this is what I was saying when this was all looming and nothing was official, and you were
Yeah.
bringing it up, and I'm like, how could he get, how I don't see these big corporations being quiet about this. So
No.
there's been warnings from Target and Walmart CEOs about the potential higher prices and empty shelves. And
Mm-hmm.
then President Trump has indicated possible softening on tariffs. See, so I knew this pressure. So do you notice there's always a back and forth, because I'm sure there are people pissed about this, particularly
Yeah.
the retail world, right? And I think
Yeah.
every industry's messed up, but you see, when the big, like I said, when it starts
When the
impacting the,
big boys start crying, there's a problem.
and I
There's a
knew they were going to
serious
be
problem.
crying. There was no way they were not going to be crying.
They're bawling right now. You understand? They're bawling
So, but
because
that's what I don't
it's
like about
really
this,
affecting them.
because
It's
it's like,
yeah.
why
Mm-hmm.
would you? My thing is, this is how you know, and I know Trump is erratic, and I also think he's not playing with a full deck of cards up there, to be
No.
honest.
Mm-mm.
Um, anybody who thinks he is, God help you, but that was my issue with the volatility of his decisions. It's like, I
Mm-hmm.
know he's gonna try and, like, he's gonna want to play ball with the big companies. He's not gonna want to piss them off completely, especially when it comes to the stock markets, right? And I knew
Mm-hmm.
they would have some sway, but it's like he still has to appear strong and not appear weak, and saying that he has to have these tariffs. But also the companies, like I just mentioned, the two biggest retailers in the world, but let's just say the US for now, are like, y'all gonna help us out here? And so
Like pronto.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, I've been paying attention to this tariff thing.
Hmm.
For multitude of reasons. One, because here in Canada we have been tariffed. That's what I'm calling it. We've been tariffed by Trump, and our tariff is not nearly as high as China. However, what we don't seem to realize is that China is a high producer of product. High producer. They produce a lot for around the world. And I thought to myself, when I saw the back and forth that was going on between Trump and China, I thought, does he not understand how this works? Like, does he not get that a lot of the products that they have on their shelf comes from China? Like and from Mexico and from Canada, like these are heavy hitters in terms of the economy in the United States. So I just didn't understand why he was going so hard. And now I get it. The man is nuts. He's crazy. He's playing with fire because when Target, Amazon, and Walmart have to have personal sit down meetings with Trump saying, listen, our shelves are going to be bare in a few weeks. Because everything is so volatile and we can't depend on anything, we don't know to order. We can't order. We didn't order ahead. We didn't know what the hell was going on. On a day to day basis, the stock market was crashing. The economy is shot to shit. So, like, of course, we didn't order. And now you've put these tariffs extraordinarily high, 145%
Yep,
tariffs.
that's where it's at now.
Please, it's at
Yeah.
that's it's bogus. So there's no trading going on here. So from my understanding, this is affecting these big business, big box stores a great deal. And if they're being affected, then you can count out the small man. You can count them out. If he was smart enough to maybe he goes directly over to United States, grabs a whole bunch of product and comes back over to Canada, that might be the only way they're staying alive. But to be quite honest, if they have to import anything from China, they're shot to shit. So the small business, we're not even talking about them really anymore, because if the big business is having this much problems, then we can, almost guarantee that the small business will have even more problems. And so they sat down with Trump and they said, listen, our shelves are going to be bare soon because of this tariff that you have here with China. And I have seen video after video from state after state. And when you walk into a Walmart and all the produce is gone, or you walk down the pasta aisle, there's no damn pasta, there's no food. This is very alarming for many people in the United States, especially the ones that put in there. And there's no recourse on this because the farmers that are here in the United States are, their crops, a lot of them are shot to shit. The crops are done. They weren't able to sell. They weren't able to, even some of them, plant the seeds that are necessary for a crop to come. So there's no recourse. So there's no food that's actually being produced from the farmers in the United States, and there's no food that's coming from outside of the states. So from what I'm seeing, which is big talk right now, is the ports. The different ports that are in the United States, such as like Seattle and Boston, they're empty. There is no cargo coming from no place called China. And it's making a huge dent. There's nothing being let off or offloaded on these ports. So yeah, the shelves are going to be bare. Yeah, there's going to be a high demand for just basic necessities, basic needs. And I don't know where they're going to get it from. But you know what? I'm just going to keep watching. Sometimes Trump will redirect his attention back to Canada and start talking a whole bunch of nonsense. But here in Canada, we're doing our own to set the record straight to Trump. And that is, we ain't going over there. Ain't nobody, not nan, one of us going over to the States. And their tourism industry has taken an extremely big hit, especially all of those northern states. They're getting a really big hit, an eye opener, and they are pleading for us to come back. But unfortunately, your leader was off in La La Land when he was doing these tariffs on everybody known to everybody across the world. I think that Trump, and I'm gonna finish with this, but I think that Trump, he has a skewed view of the United States, and maybe justfully so, because he is the president and he has to love America. But to me, I feel like he thought nobody would mess with the states. I think he thought everybody was going to bow down to him because of these tariffs and so on and so forth. And he messed around and he found out that the world doesn't like him, and they're not bowing down to nothing. And they're reciprocal tariffs and everything. And I think, to be quite honest, it kind of took him by storm. I don't think he thought this was going to happen. Just like how I don't think he thought the first time he was in office that he was actually going to win. I think he's just pulling things out of his ass and seeing if it's going to work. And unfortunately, this backfired big time in his face. And so now he has to still show face. He still has to pretend like he knows what he's doing. He has to lie to the American people. How do you tell the American people, on average at the pump they're paying $2.50 a gallon, and telling them, oh, the gas prices have come down? Excuse you? I'm going to the pump. I know the gas. Like, he wants to play into this delusion. And unfortunately, the American people are waking up and they're tired of this. And justfully so. I mean, a lot of them are losing everything, you know? So I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what his strategy. I think he's out to lunch. I think he's slowly, losing his mind. And this tariff just shows that America is not the world power that they think they are. The world allowed America to think that, but they aren't. And to be quite honest, they've been helping China to take their spot. So I mean, It is what it is. But Trump, really, I think you really messed up on this one, man. When you have big box stores like Target and Amazon and Walmart coming at you saying, "Listen, you better stop this, or we're gonna go with this is gonna be a very long summer." It's going to be a very long summer. But I'm going to stay tuned with that because it is important. It does affect our day to day lives. It does affect here in Canada. But Canadians are starting to make alternate, routes of how to get their products and who to do business with. And I think the world is doing the same. And I think America is going to be left out of the equation real quick, if not already. So it is what it is. But you know what? We'll move on from that, my dear, because,
Mhm.
he's playing around with fire and he doesn't realize it. And this is only 100 days in. He has 3 more years. Does everybody realize that? He has 3 more years. So I don't know. I don't know. They really messed up with this one, the American people. They really did because it's affecting them more than they could possibly have even thought of. But anyhow, Trump's a fool. What can we do?
Yeah. So, on a lighter note, there's an interesting debate that has taken over social media, and it's pretty much, I don't know what to call it, but it's pretty much that started on Twitter or X, where there's a debate about could 100 men take on a gorilla, and the amount of tweets and things that this conversation has turned into. Usually these kind of things happen, people are excited for a couple of days and they blow over. It's been 1 week and people are
Oh
still
my
talking about
god.
this 100 men and this gorilla. And some of the shit that I've seen online, there was some, like Van Lathan, he's on the Higher
Mhm.
Learning podcast. He all put out a strategy how it's possible. Like you have to have at least 10 men to get eaten to be on the front line as you strategize. So it's been an interesting, if
Oh
you go
my
on Twitter,
goodness.
you're gonna see all there's like men actually, most people were cracking jokes being like, that gorilla is gonna tear y'all those first 10 men up and everybody else is gonna scramble away. and and
Yeah.
and combination and references to the Planet of the Apes and that movie.
Yeah.
And so the discourse has gotten crazy, but here's my thing. Do I think 100 men can take on a gorilla with no weapons? This is no weapons. Personally, I feel we're gonna lose a good amount of people. But I do think it's possible only because a gorilla is gonna get tired. Like if you're strategic, so I'm not one of
Mm-hmm.
those people saying that it's not impossible, but I'm like, if it's done, you're gonna have to be really. Those 100 men need to be like really smart and not regular men.
So my
And
question would be, so is it considered a successful mission if one of the 100 stays alive?
that's a good question because you're definitely not 100 are not gonna live.
No.
There's no
No.
no
Uh-uh.
no.
Not even
But
half. Not even half. No.
let's say
Uh-uh.
like right. I would say it would be successful if 50%. So 50 men. If 50 men live, that would be a success. Let's put because there's no way. No, there's like not somebody. Somebody's are
And
going to be
what
dead.
kind of men are we talking about here? What
That's,
kind of
that's
men?
the thing, and that's maybe why the debate has been going on for so long because there's so many variables in this where it's like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's
We need to have the top of the top physically fit men going to for this
but not just
because
physical. I think you need to physically fit, but you also need some of those big boys like the football players, like a 6'6",
yeah,
three hundred
you need
pound
yeah,
like
yeah, you need you need the biggest
you
boys that
need
you can find,
you need at least 20 of those big boys,
and
and then
they have to be light on their feet.
but that's when you need a mix. You need to have a mix. You need some big boys. You need some fast boys. You need some small wrangly boys. It's like you can't just have one type of man. I feel like you're going to need to have, if you're going to have strategy based on what I've seen from Van Lathan, it's like you have a mix of body types to deal with different scenarios in the battle. And so you need at least 30 of the big boys and then
because the men
some
that I
fast
see as of
boys.
late, like the men,
Oh no, they're dainty. No
oh
way.
Lord,
That
okay,
was one of the tweets. That was one of the funny things I saw. They're like, not with these of Louis Vuitton wearing a skinny jean like
the
men.
having, okay, skinny jean having men. No, but the reason why I say that is because if you think of an actual gorilla, they are light on their feet, even though they're really heavy. They're
Yeah,
big creatures. They're still light on their
they
feet.
can move very quickly.
What?
Yeah,
They can get up to at least what is it, 50 miles per hour? They can run. So I don't know what you better have some track stars in that mix. They better be light on their feet. They better be big, and they have to be rough and tumble. Because these dainty ass men that I see nowadays, even the ones that go to the gym and bulk up and look huge, have these huge muscles, are still weak. Just because you can
yeah,
lift, 200 pounds doesn't
yeah.
mean
That's what
that
I'm
you're
saying. You need to be
strong,
an athletic big. You have
right?
to be somebody who's like a real athlete, not
Like
just because
I'm
you
not.
go to the gym and lift. That's a
Yeah,
different thing. Yeah.
exactly, because just because you can lift 200 pounds in a stable setting
Mm,
doesn't mean that you're strong, right?
no.
Like that's not a real measure of strength to me. Just because you can lift up 200 pounds, it's if you can lift up a log, maybe a tree log that's 200 pounds and walk with it,
Yeah, there you go. That's the difference. It's a big
right?
difference. Big
There's a
difference.
difference. And so when we're talking about, the dynamic of a gorilla and their like, uh, okay, so that's why I get back to my question. Is it a successful mission if we have one standing? Because it's going to take all 99 of them to kill that gorilla. The men that we have nowadays, yeah, it's going to take all 99. We're going to have at least 10 of them to be a distraction. We're going to have to forfeit up 10 of them to give up their life because they will get ripped limb for limb. We're going to need another set that are mentally smart and have strategy, because gorillas are also smart. They're also smart creatures.
Yes, that's true.
If you go look them up, they're actually really intelligent creatures. This is why there's that theory that we as human beings are closest relatives are
Hmm.
gorillas, are monkeys.
Hmm.
They
Yeah.
are smart and intelligent creatures. So you need to be smart. You need to be smart. And
Hmm.
lastly, you better hope to God he don't let out a war cry to the rest of the gorillas.
Well, the debate is won. If the other ones come in, they're done for. They're done
Yeah,
for.
but
They're
they
guaranteed.
said one, but he could be the top leader of the group, and he could be letting out that war cry, and before you know it, I'm just saying.
It's sounding like what is that movie again? I mentioned War the Planet of the Apes.
Planet of
Planet
the
of the Apes.
Apes. I'm just saying. I'm just
But
saying.
yeah,
I
it's
mean, if we're just talking one, I'm not
I think
saying
it's
it's
possible.
impossible.
I
I
think it's
think
possible, but you have to be really you have to have some really like fearless men. Like because
and
the fear
smart,
alone.
smart, fearless, um, light on their feet. Again, I tell you, they run quick, hey. So if you think you're gonna run up a tree faster than a gorilla,
Oh hell no.
you won't. If you think you're gonna run down wherever quicker than a gorilla, you're wrong. And they can have two or three people on their back and still run the same speed. Do you realize? Okay, so these men that we have nowadays would have to go through a whole rigor. Like even some of these men in the army wouldn't be able to do it because they rely too heavily on their guns. If you're going in just bare hand, I don't know if 100
Mm,
men could do it. I think if it takes just one man to come alive, like if there's just one man left and the gorilla is dead and that's considered a successful mission, then I think it's possible if there's one
mm.
standing. But if you expect 100 to be standing and the gorilla dead, you're wrong. You're wrong. The gorilla will kill you. Uh-uh. Uh-uh. And he'll rip you limb by limb.
Yeah. So it's been a fun like anybody listening, I'm pretty sure you've seen it, but it was just funny to see the debates and the scenarios that were coming up on
Yeah.
social media.
Yeah.
All
So.
right, so we'll move on. This will be a quick one. Beyonce has started the Cowboy Carter tour. I've seen some footage coming out. It looks
Mhm.
amazing. I love that she has Blue Ivy's back and she's better. She's more comfortable. She seems to be, more um a better dancer
Yeah, her
generally,
movements are
or
getting
performer.
sharper.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but she's not a natural mover. Like, I don't feel bad saying that. I think you can tell. I think she more has a, because she's actually very tall and lanky. She has a
Yes.
model's body. If she were
Yes.
to walk the runway, Naomi Campbell walk instantly,
Yeah. No,
because she
she'd be
naturally
fierce.
has that, like, kind of body.
She's
But the
gonna be
dance,
tall. I mean, Jay Z's
oh,
not
she's
short,
already taller. She's already taller than Beyonce.
but
So
she hasn't
that's
even hit her peak yet.
That's true. Yeah, what is she, like 13? She's about
Yeah,
13.
she's gonna
So
be
yeah, she
tall.
probably has a couple more inches on her. So I
Yeah,
think she's probably going to be at least like a
a
five
six
ten
footer.
six
She's gonna be at
a
least
six.
6 feet
She's going to be in the 6 feet range for sure.
because Beyonce's
Um,
not short neither.
yeah, Beyonce's no, Beyonce's pretty. She's 5'5". She's not tiny, but she's not tall either. I think Beyonce's natural height.
She's
She always
average,
wears.
I guess.
Yeah, she's an average woman height. At most, she's 5'5", if 5'5".
I thought she was
That's
5'7".
She looks tall because she always wears heels, but they're actually all the Destiny Child. That's what I heard, is that all those girls are tiny. All of them were. I think Kelly looks like she might be a little bit taller, but all of
Uh-huh.
them. If she's 5'5", that's a tall. If she's in the
She's
average
five
woman height,
seven. Yeah, I thought I had to look that up.
I
Beyonce
don't.
is Beyonce is 5'7".
You see 5'7"? I
She's
mean, I can't
five
tell.
seven.
I'm just going by. I can't tell. I just
Yeah.
go by what the rumor was, that she's not very tall,
And
and then I'm
Rihanna
like,
is actually taller than her.
yeah, Rihanna's a tall girl. She's like 5'10". She doesn't look tall. Rihanna never read as. That's the thing. That's the funny thing. Like, Beyonce never read as short to me, and Rihanna never read as tall because her neck is. She doesn't have a tall woman's neck. But
Yeah.
I debated somebody down, and I looked it up, and I started looking. I was like, oh shoot, she's actually tall, 5'10".
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
anyway, it was been nice to see the outfits. This tour is a lot smaller. This is not a big tour like Renaissance.
Mhm.
Which I get, because you're saying not as much people, they're not the shows are not being sold out as fast as they were for Renaissance. But that's what
Mhm.
I said. I thought this tour was a little too soon.
Mhm.
Personally, because yes, she had the album, and maybe there's a plan that she has going for everything she's doing now. I think she's being very calculated with everything she does. I think she always was, but she's very specifically calculated. And I thought it was too soon. Even if she was coming to Toronto, I think I would think hard if I were to buy a ticket. Only because Renaissance was more of an album I spent more time with. So, and Cowboy Carter I like, but I got to see her 2 years ago. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. True.
So it's been interesting, and I'm keeping looking out. It's nice seeing so Blue Ivy and Rumi, the little one, the little
Mhm.
girl, has been there too. She has a song called Protector that Rumi's on, that she's been bringing her on, and Rumi's living her best life on stage.
Mhm.
So
She
it's been
is.
good. And yeah,
She
so I'll
looks a
keep.
lot like Jay. She looks a
Yeah, the
lot
twins.
like
The
Jay.
twins have more of the Jay's features.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Blue Ivy has some of his features too, but they look a little bit more like him.
But now that Blue Ivy is getting big,
Yeah,
she
you see
looks
more
so
of the
much like her
Beyonce.
mom.
Yeah,
My gosh. She
now that
looks
she's
like a
older.
death stamp of her mother, man.
Yeah, when she was younger, maybe it's funny how kids'
Yeah,
faces, they
yeah,
change, right?
yeah,
So when she was younger, yes, you saw in Blue Ivy, she looked more like the twins. You see more of Jay Z's
yeah,
look. But now that she's older, you just see Beyonce's eyes, eyebrows, even the mouth. So Beyonce's features are coming out now that she's becoming closer to like a young womanhood or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. She looks
So
so
great.
much like her mom. My
So
goodness.
another legacy act. So last weekend was the NFL draft.
Yeah.
I don't follow the NFL like that. When the
No,
Super
me
Bowl's there,
neither.
I just pay attention when it's Super Bowl, get to learn who I need to learn and know about, and keep it moving. But the NFL always has drama, and so during their NFL draft, there was a lot of build up and anticipation around a lot of players, but specifically Shador Sanders. Shador
Mhm.
Sanders is Coach Prime, Deion Sanders' son. and they had a documentary. They've been doing a lot of
Mhm.
press. There's just been a lot around Deion Sanders and his son since
Mhm.
he's started coaching at first at a HBCU, and when he moved over to Colorado with his sons. There's just been a lot of build up there, which now that I
Mhm.
think back of it about it, could have been strategic, which is nothing wrong. It's actually, it makes it even more brilliant.
Mhm.
But so during the draft, everybody was anticipating Shador Sanders to be a part of the first round, a
Mhm.
part of the first round. Period. Point blank. Everybody thought he was going to be a part of the first round.
Yep.
And then news started coming out that as the rounds were happening, he wasn't picked for the first round. He
Mhm.
wasn't picked for the second round. So after he wasn't picked for the second round, now all the media outlets are picking up the story and discussing it.
Mhm.
And they're discussing it because usually they project these things, and they're usually right in the ballpark. So if he fine, you don't get the first round, but you didn't get second round.
Mm. Mm.
And so that has started a lot of conversations about, you know, I would say I'm going to be overall blank. So he was picked, and his brother was picked, I think, the day before him. So fourth round.
Mhm.
But his brother hasn't been seen nowhere close to be in his realm of talent.
Mhm.
Anyway, he's picked fifth round, 144th overall pick. And that doesn't sound like your top talent, does it?
No.
If you're picked 144, obviously you're good enough to get picked for the NFL. So,
Mhm.
that's one thing. But considering his pedigree, his actual talent, and his just he already has a lot of attention already. Like he has a spotlight on him already. Some teams
Yep.
like that because it's just good for their brand.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was. I'm sure he was disappointed. But anyway, the discourse. Listen, I'm not an expert. I don't know a skill. I'm just basing on what the normal talking heads about football have been saying, that he
Mhm.
should not have been less than a first round, to be honest, but if not first, second. And so
Yeah.
what got my attention into the story is that the discourse of him being the behind the scenes, people are saying, oh, he didn't get picked first round because you're trying to put him in his place, right?
Mhm.
He didn't do the combine. That is where they go and they showcase all their talent and kind of get scouted. He didn't do the press. There's usually a lot of press leading up to the event, so you get to talk and hear your point of view. And
Mhm.
behind the scenes, they're saying that him and his father were trying to dictate the teams that he would go to.
Right.
And
Right.
I want to say, first and foremost, as distasteful as that sounds, that is not unusual for a talent that is expected to be first round. It's not
No.
unusual for a talent that everybody knows that everybody wants that talent on their team.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot the comparison, again, I don't know, but from what I've been reading and watching, they made a comparison with he's a white player, Eli, the Mannings. I
Mm.
believe it's Eli Manning. There's three Mannings. I don't know. I'm gonna say Eli Manning. I don't know if it is, but it's one of the Mannings for sure because his it's
Mhm.
kind of the same. Like his father was already big in the league and had influence, and his father was dictating the teams that he was supposed to be on, and that didn't go against Eli Manning when that was happening behind closed doors. But now everybody's like, oh, he's arrogant, he's not humble, he's this and that, and now you know he's being put it literally, quote unquote, being put in his place. And the discourse was saying that, oh, and so they bring up the point of Eli Manning and comparing it to how the media is talking about Shador Sanders. So that's one thing. So the racing
Mhm.
is coming into play, right? And they're saying, oh, he needed to be humble.
Mm.
Yes, everybody needs, but how can you have to consider the boy has been living with a spoon in his mouth. He's acting accordingly. He's been probably told since he was like 14 years old that he is going to be in the league. And
What I
every
don't
step
understand is why does there have to be humility out of the black boy? Like, why does there have?
that's really what
That's
it
the
and
one thing I
and so we're
can't.
bringing it to the point of this discussion, the point of why I brought it up. That's what to me it is. Everybody could say everything else, but to me that's really the point. And they continue to show that the NFL is a new age motherfucking plantation.
It
Sorry.
is. It is. I don't see it any other way, to be honest.
But I can't be wrong. As much as I'm saying that, at the end of the day, it's a old boys club, and they own the club. So I personally can't say anything, because if the leaders and owners say, "Listen, this isn't the behavior we want from our black boys," which, as distasteful and messed up as it is,
Right?
they have the power. They had the power to move this, to make this person's pick be of an average player when he's been known and shown that
Hmm.
he's an above average player.
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Well, nepotism didn't work this time around.
no, no,
Um,
no, no.
Deion Sanders, like that's the thing we have to look at Deion as well. Like,
Hmm.
he has never not been cocky. Deion
Yeah.
Sanders has always been cocky. Because he knows the talent that he has, right? So he can be cocky. And so I don't understand how we would expect anything less from his sons. Like, this is a man that Deion Sanders has. We understand. I don't follow football like that, but I know
No, yeah.
enough where I know that Deion Sanders is a huge deal. He's a huge deal in the football world, and now he has his sons that are coming into the league as well. And so, um, I've always thought that the league wanted to quiet Deion Sanders from a long time ago, right?
Hmm.
Because he is very cocky, and he doesn't, and he knows it, and he doesn't care. And I don't understand why he should care. There are so many other players that are not black, and they're cocky, and so I think they've been trying to make an example of Deion Sanders for decades now, and it just didn't work. And now his sons are in the league, and so his sons are the same as he is. So they want to humble him, and they want to, they're doing it in a very distasteful way, if you ask me. But I think that the league itself we have to draw attention to more and more of this behavior. He should not have been in the fifth round pick. He just shouldn't. I did take a look at his stats. Um, and he has some really good stats. Like, it's not to say that he is perfect. He's not. I think he has a lot
Hmm.
of work to do, right? But and a lot of growth.
Yeah.
However, right, I also believe that he should be cocky. He should be cocky. Why shouldn't he be? Look at who his daddy is. He is
Yeah,
good,
I don't.
and he knows it. He knows he's good.
I
He
feel like as
knows.
long as he's not being disrespectful,
I don't
I
think
don't.
so. I don't think he's being
And I don't. He
disrespectful.
hasn't. He actually's been very, considering what has happened in his age. He's been very gracious. Based on, they were showed some footage when they're like, they always have some behind the scenes footage when they're waiting for the call and all this nonsense, right? And all things considered, he, for somebody his age and how it was blatantly an act to um put him down and devalue him. I think that he's been very gracious, and I don't know what it is. I guess it's a testament to his father, but a lot of other people would have had him like a mini crash out about it.
Major breakdown with this, but to me, I think that we're going to see great things from him.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you know, there's buzz around his name just because of this nonsense. I
Hmm.
mean, there was always going to be buzz because of his father. However, I think that now people are going to be particularly paying attention to him, and I think he's going to do great things once given the chance. Once
Yeah.
given the chance, I think he's going to be really great. However, we do need to look at how they pick these kids,
Mm.
uh, and the whole picking process, right?
Yeah, that's another
Because to
discussion.
me,
Yeah.
the one thing that I don't like about the picking process
Hmm.
is it very much gives off slave block,
Well, that's where the
like
combine. That's where the
selling
combine
selling
thing. Yeah. So I'm. Mhm.
it gives me that, even in basketball, because my family were basketball people, not so
Yeah.
much football people, and I
Hmm.
never really liked the idea of drafts, period. I felt like drafts was another word for buying a black person. Like, you're
Mm.
on the chopping block, you're like, selling of a slave. Like, that's what it feels like. That's what it feels like. I, hey, that's how I feel about it. I never liked it, but now that he's there, let's see what he's gonna do. Let's see, because I think he's gonna do good things. And if he doesn't, his father will be all the way down his neck.
Hmm.
So Because you can't go come out and embarrass Deion Sanders like this. Like, you got to be good at what you do, especially since they did want to humble him. They did, but the world can see what they were doing. So, I mean, if anything, it kind of made us look side eyed at the whole process of becoming, going into the NFL. So, we'll see though. This young man, we'll see, because now
Yeah.
he's playing with the big boys now.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I learned through seeing family members go into the NBA. You're playing with the big boys now. So this is not college ball.
Hmm.
These are professionals. They're trained. Their bodies are bigger. They're more aggressive, and so we'll see. But I think he's gonna do well. I think he's gonna do well. Hmm. Well, good luck to him. Good luck to him. Um,
Yeah.
and I think this time nepotism just didn't work.
No, I think they won't. That's why I go. There's something about the NFL. They won't let it work.
Mm-mm,
Okay, no
mm-mm.
matter who you are,
Nope.
because you know who's close, and that's why everybody says maybe we need our own thing. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so we'll
Yeah.
move on. Is there anything else? Oh, quick thing before we go into so we just saw TD Jakes, Bishop TD Jakes recently retired and
Mm-hmm.
gave over his ministry, or not gave over, handed over his ministry to his daughter,
Mm-hmm.
Sarah something Jakes, and her husband. Um and everybody was, it's sad, but he recently, I think we talked about here, that he had recently had a stroke or a heart attack and on
Mm-hmm.
the pulpit. So he stepped down from his ministry called the Potter's House. And I think a lot of the commentary has been, and it's true, just think of the angle from the black church in particular, because I only know the black
Yeah.
church and this is a black church. And a lot of people said this is the right way to do it, because a lot of pastors and head of bishops and heads of ministries wait till things have, like, maybe they're incapacitated or they
Yeah.
actually
Like
die,
death's
and then there's
door. Yeah.
death's door,
Yeah.
or
I
they
know.
just even unfortunately just maybe just out of nowhere just pass away,
Mm-hmm.
and there's no um succession. They didn't
Yeah.
pick the next leader. So it breeds a lot of conflict in those churches. And some churches have broken up over that and segmented over that.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a good way. It's like you could pick, you, the leader of the and creator of this ministry, clearly and publicly show your and present your successor,
Yeah.
because that's, because just like when families, like rich families, even that show
Mm-hmm.
Succession on HBO, if you don't clearly announce this when you are of sound mind and you are
Mm-hmm.
incapacitated anyway, it creates so much, not
Divide.
only
My
not only
gosh.
just a divide, but it can literally destroy your business, or as in this example, your church.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was beautiful. It was bittersweet for a lot of people, but I
Mm-hmm.
think based on where things are, he's done his work and he should rest and enjoy the rest of his days. You
Yeah,
know?
I think it's time. I think it was time. When you have a heart attack in the pulpit, that says a lot.
Yeah, right.
Like,
I mean, you don't get, it doesn't get any more clear than that. That it's
no,
time to
yeah,
step
like
down.
God
Like
was
shoot.
definitely telling you something. He was telling you something. Pass on the ranks. You're coming to glory soon. Like, you need to pass on the ranks. Like, but there was a lot of controversy around TD Jake, so I think
Yeah.
that also, it's gonna be refreshing to see what his daughter and her husband might do.
Yeah, and she has a really
Because,
good reputation in our ministry. She had a ministry of her own
yeah.
before she came back to her father's ministry. And a lot of people, I've seen some of them, I've come across them. She's
Hmm.
really good actually. So I think, she came up and is in good hands, and
Hmm.
she's very much a testament to her father's talent and stuff like that. So yeah. So finally, before we move into our workout, with one thing, so the movie that everybody's talking about, I can't get away, Sinners. So Ryan
Yes,
Coogler
I
might
want to. it. People, don't spoil it for me. People, please. I
No,
keep seeing so many
girl.
things. I'm trying so hard to put on my blinders, B. I
Yeah, and
want to see.
I'm not gonna spoil it, listeners, because Kim hasn't watched it. We're gonna watch it, but I watched it because I'm sorry. 2 weeks in, after 1 week, I'm on the socials regularly, and people were trying to spoil it for me. I said I'm not gonna let these mofo's spoil it. I need to get my ass into the theater. So
Right?
I went on a Friday afternoon when it's not busy. There was maybe 10 other people in there, and I made sure I saw it before anybody spoiled it for me, because I
Mm-hmm.
literally can't get away from Sinners content right now.
No.
I can't.
And I'm
But
not even
so,
on social media.
and you
Everywhere,
still are
every
seeing
minute
it,
I'm
so that's to
seeing it. I'm
tell
like,
you
yo, don't talk to me
anything.
about mommy.
That was me for 1 week. So really, I'm just gonna talk about like some of the reactions,
Hmm.
and not a big like, I don't like, we don't want to make things about race, but at the end of the day, realistically, it is what it is. It sucks that we have to like talk about that factor, but
Yeah.
it's like disgusting in 2025 that we still have to talk about um people kind of disparaging black talent and black films.
Hmm.
Um, so basically, so the movie comes out, it makes, I believe, like 40 million on the first week. Actually,
Wow.
let me look at the numbers, because the numbers do play a big role in kind of
How
um
well the movie is doing.
how well, and kind of the conversation as well. So
Yeah.
I'm on Box Office Mojo. So the first week, the movie made domestic weekend. Let's look at the weekend. First weekend, 48 million.
Wow.
It was estimated at 40, but they made 48 million the first weekend. Second weekend, it made even, and then, oh, so that's just a day. So 42nd weekend, it only dropped about 5%, which is unheard of. Usually the first weekend to second weekend drop is much more bigger. It only dropped 5%.
Wow.
45 million
Wow.
in the next weekend. So essentially, what that means to date, it's the movie has made 123 million. This is like,
And it just
so this,
came
and
out like not that long ago.
that's just domestic. Actually, in total, outside of the weekend, I'm looking at the weekend numbers, but in total, as of today, domestic only, which is North America, is 156 million.
Jesus.
And I say that because the movie took 90 million to make, so they're in the green right now,
All the way in the green.
all the way
Laughing
in the
in the
green.
green. Mm-hmm.
And it broke records. One of the records that it broke is, I believe, it was like the first original screenplay to crack 40 million. Something, I can't remember the record, but I want to, so in a view, it says, in what universe, this is Ben Stiller, because this, here's the article that the Variety had an article, and it says, Sinners has amassed a 61 million in its global debut. It's a great result for an original R-rated horror film, yet the Warner Brothers release has a $90 million price tag before global marketing expenses. So profitably remains a ways. So profitability remains a ways away. That is disgusting, because
Right?
essentially what it say, this movie is already breaking a record as an original film in its first weekend, but it's trying to like downplay that. And there was another article from the New Yorker, I don't have it, but essentially, let's just say the two big publications around media and entertainment were kind of trying to downplay the success of this film's first weekend. It was without a doubt a success, and I think they said within it was like the first movie, original movie in over 8 years to crack that amount of money on the first weekend. The last one being Quentin Tarantino's
Wow.
movie, something, the Hollywood movie he did. I can't remember what it was, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
So he was already on the level of a top filmmaker in
Mm-hmm.
terms of revenue for an original script. And then these articles come out. They've quickly changed their tune since then, but it was kind of like, everybody was side eyeing them. And this was
Right?
Ben, and so it was Ben Stiller who tweeted. It was Ben Stiller said something. I believe Quentin Tarantino said something. There was a couple of other actors
Mm-hmm.
or white actors and performers who spoke out, which obviously great allyship, appreciate it.
Right?
And Ben Stiller said, "In what universe does a $60 million opening for an original studio movie warrant this headline?" So that was the Ben Stiller speaking on that Variety headline I just spoke about.
They're always gonna downplay things that we do.
Another,
And that's just the reality. But at the end of the day, they're gonna win. They're gonna win big time. Because if this is just the first couple of weekends
they made the money back already,
already,
so they're in the green now as of this weekend.
everything is gravy from here. Like everything is gravy from here. And the awards will start rolling in because I'm
They
hearing
definitely
a
need to
lot
be
of good
nominated.
reviews. Yeah, I'm hearing a
Yeah.
lot of good reviews about some of these actors and actresses that
Mhm.
are inside of the movie. I'm trying again, people, to not listen too tough to certain things, but I because I really want to see it without too much of a bias. Um, but I am hearing a lot of great things about the actors, especially Michael
Mm.
B. Jordan. I'm hearing a
Yep.
lot of good things about him
He impressed me. I'm already think he's a good actor, but he really impressed me in this
because he's
movie.
the lead and
He's
he's
playing
playing two
twins.
roles.
Yep.
Yeah, can you imagine?
He did a very good job because even I know he's one person, but he definitely felt
He
didn't. It
felt
felt
like
like two
two
people.
people, right?
Yeah.
That's a skill. That's a real skill. But I never expected anything less from him. To be honest, like
Yeah.
he's always
Yeah. When he
crossed me
works
as
with
a
Ryan,
really good actor. Like this
and
is this is
mhm.
this generation's Denzel Washington.
I mean, I don't agree with you, but I get he's close. I can't give it to him yet because I just have
Just
Denzel in
compare
such.
at the same time, like
I can't, but
no,
I
no.
get where you're saying.
Here
I
what I'm
agree
saying is
where you're
that
going.
at the time when Denzel Washington was at that time in his career, and at the same time of Michael B. Jordan's career, like I can see why he is this generation's Denzel Washington. Denzel, I'm never gonna take anything away from Denzel. His work, he has earned every piece of
Hmm.
his accolades. I get it. Denzel is my first choice. But when we see what Michael B. Jordan is doing in his movies, if I'm going to compare him to somebody, I'm going to compare him to Denzel in terms of their career at the same time. So at the same time, early on in Denzel's career, where Michael B. Jordan is right now, they were making the same kind of moves at the same time in their own generation. So Michael B. Jordan, though, is a really good actor. I must say, he's up there for me. He's up there for
Hmm.
me because I don't see a lot of male actors like him right now.
Black male actors.
Yes,
Hmm.
that are like him right now.
Yeah.
So, but I'm gonna pay attention because what's his face? The other one that just escaped jail with Megan. What's his name again? Jonathan Majors. Is that his name?
Oh yeah. Well, he's now his career is in the dumps because he
But
was the next one. Yeah.
he has to get it now. He has to go out there and he has to do a really good.
Because
The
you know what?
next
If there
movie
was a,
he's in, he has to do wicked in it.
but he's always the thing is he's I believe he's Juilliard trained. I don't know, but he's always had, I would say, more for me in terms of talent and background and acting. I would say Jonathan Majors is more diverse and more of a Denzel type of actor than Michael B. Jordan, just for me and what I think. But I think that now I'm sure that, and I'm glad you brought up Jonathan Majors because Jonathan Major was in an HBO show called Lovecraft Country, which was brilliant and beautiful, and I love it. And it had a mixture of horror, science fiction, and it's
Mm-hmm.
almost like I could actually see him outside of Jonathan Majors. If I saw this on paper, I'd be like, this is Jonathan Majors. Only thing I would say no to is because he kind of already did that role in that show. And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a big connection between Jonathan Majors in the show because that show that he did in this movie actually has a lot of similar themes.
Mm.
And it's a beautiful thing. I'm glad that we're dabbling in sci-fi and horror and getting outside of the normal, just getting outside of the typical stories that they usually put
Yeah,
on
the
black
no,
people. And of
yeah,
course,
yeah.
Ryan Coogler is always going to be original. And this is the thing with Ryan Coogler. Like, forget, okay, all the acting is great, but Ryan Coogler, writer, director, he wrote and directed Black Panther. He wrote his first original movie was with Michael B. Jordan. Michael B. Jordan has been in a lot of his movies. They will have a good collaboration. So, if like you
Mhm.
mentioned, how Michael B. Jordan was so good. If he's being directed, I feel like Ryan Coogler brings out his best work.
Mm.
Um,
Mm.
but Ryan Coogler, I would say watch the Breakfast Club interview he just
Mm.
did. He has a way of speaking that's a little bit hard to, I would say, listen to, because he's like a mumble speaker,
Mm.
but he said a lot of things in his development of the story that make it even richer when you go and see the movie. So I'll
Mm.
leave it at that. But
Mhm.
every I want to. Everybody knows there's so many reactions, but let's just say the movie's original. It's successful. Ryan Coogler got a deal that only some of the top directors, no matter the race, get.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
they said that he's going to have first rights of profits. He's going to own the property, the intellectual property, which is this
Mhm.
film, after 25 years,
Wow.
which that never
Okay.
happens. That means all the profits of this movie, whether it's streaming, where it's being
Mhm.
sold, whatever they're showing a clip, he's going to get that profit for him and his family.
Yeah.
And he also got some type of first rights in terms of the profitability. There's some deals, like, so usually when a average filmmaker, the studio's making all the money, right?
Yeah.
But he has some kind of deal. Not only is he going to get ownership of the movie, but he has some percentage of the profitability. So now the movie has made over 200K. So they're
Wow.
already almost 100 million in profits, and he's
Wow.
getting a piece of that cake, as he should, because
As
he
you
wrote and
should,
directed. It's
right?
his own all the other movies outside of Fruitvale Station, which was an original movie or independent movie. All his big movies have been with big studio. They've been based on other stories. So Creed was based on Rock. Well, no, what is it? Rocky. Creed, is it
Yes.
the Rocky? Yeah, the
Creed.
Rocky.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then obviously Black Panther was a Marvel property, right?
Mhm.
So those were like, he wrote those stories, but you're still being in collaboration with a larger intellectual property that already existed.
Right.
So
Yeah.
now this is his big blockbuster original story outside of his first film,
Right.
and
Right.
it's been amazing. So anyway, when you see it, we could talk more about some of
Yes,
the
and we
themes.
will. And I
So
and
we'll
I
leave it
am
there.
gonna make sure that I see that, people. I am. I'm going to make sure I see it because honestly, like I
There's a lot
can't.
going on. There's a lot of little things in that if you pick up it at the surface, it's a great little action thriller movie. But there's also so many layers in it.
Yes, that's
Just
what
like
I'm
when you watch
hearing.
just
Mhm.
like when you watch Black Panther, yes, it's a nice fun action movie in Marvel Universe, but then there's also so many things that he's
Yes.
included in it, and
Yes.
he continues. It's very beautiful. It's actually very beautiful. You could surface say, "Oh, it's a vampire thriller movie in the South." But there's just so much more than that, but we'll leave it
There's
there.
more to it than that. There is more to it than that, and I'm excited to see it because I love me some Michael J. I can't
Michael B.
say.
Jordan.
I can't say his name. That's how sexy he is. Like I can't. Michael, you are gorgeous. You're a gorgeous man, and so to see your acting, like I like him as an actor. I think I think whenever he has a character, he does the character justice. That's what I think. And so I'm going to see what he's going to do in Sinners. And we will talk about that more on another show. But for today, we need to work out some things. We're going to head into the workout now, everybody.
The workout.
Yes, and I'm laughing because this workout, yes, we have to talk about some things that are happening in our culture, in our community, because Shannon Sharp is out here. Shannon is doing some damage out here in these streets, okay? And we need to
Mm-mm.
talk about Shannon Sharp and the fiasco that is going on surrounding him. So I wanted to bring it back just a little bit to when we heard the audio of Shannon Sharp having sex with Michelle, the infamous Michelle. I'm going to bring it back to there because this is when we started to hear about Shannon very publicly. A lot, we know that he's been doing dirt behind the scenes for a while. Okay? But this audio right here was exposed, and now Shannon is in a different realm. He's in the entertainment industry. He's stepped into that realm. So now, when we're hearing about Michelle and him and his sex audio tape, you know, it didn't look good. Didn't look good at all. Well, Shannon is back in the news, everybody. Shannon has moved on from Michelle to a little 19-year-old girl. I have to look up her name. I don't quite remember this little girl's name, which I should, but either way. So let's show a brief summary of what's been happening with Shannon. So Shannon has been out here in these streets, and now these girls are coming to sue him. Okay, they're coming out of the woodworks and they're coming to sue him. Shannon, this little girl. Okay, so Shannon has decided that he's going to pick up a 19-year-old little girl and start having some sort of relationship with this young lady. And she's put him on blast. She's suing him. She wants lots of money and she's not willing to settle. Which is the saddest part because Shannon, we know you've been making some money out here in these streets, but you don't got it like that for these women to be coming out the woodwork like this. Like she's not taking the little 5-10 mil that you're offering her. So just recently, we see that a lawsuit has come against Shannon because of this little girl who has let us all in on Shannon's escapades, sexual escapades. And I'm trying to pull it up while I'm talking to you guys, but
Yeah,
I'm not
her name is Gabriella Zuniga.
Gabriella's. Thank you. So Gabriella is 19, and
Well, she was 19 when they met.
at the time,
Mhm.
she's a little
Yeah,
bit older now.
yeah.
But at the time, because this has been going on for a
He
little
said it
while
was
now,
2023.
so 2 years now, this
Hmm.
has been a relationship that he's had with her, and she's suing all sorts of allegations that he's sexually assaulted her, um, and all sorts of things that Shannon has supposedly done to her. While she has evidence, she has receipts, people. She has conversations, she has texts, she has audio, she has all these things to come against Shannon. And at one point, he was trying to settle with her for about 10 million, and she said, "No, I'm not taking your 10 million.
Yeah, that was yeah.
I want more." So the question is, what does she have? What does she know where she could turn down $10 million and ask for more? Well, Shannon out here now, he's out here trying to, damage control, if you ask me, but it's not working. It's not working. A lot of people have been disgusted by Shannon's escapades with this young lady. We now see that he is. They call it it's a particular type of kink that he has in the
Yeah.
bedroom, race baiting kind of thing. It has become very racial in their relationship. Um, he also likes to choke. He likes to choke young ladies while having sex with them. um, Shannon has always crossed me as somebody, he's very polite. He's very polite. However, there's always been something about him that screams he has this desire to be the biggest, baddest guy in the room. We know from his past what he's told us before, and Gabriella is Caucasian. She's white. Like,
She's Latino, but European
well,
Latino.
I saw a picture of her, and
She presents white. Yeah.
very much presents past white. She passes as a white girl. I wouldn't be surprised if that Latino is further down in her her lineage, because she definitely passes as a white woman, for me. And so he likes them spicy. Okay, he wants a spicy Latina. Well, this one right here, she is taking him to the cleaners because we're hearing audio between her and him, and he is specifically saying that he wants to choke her, that he wants to choke her out. Then we start to see texts. He's paying for the sex, 25,000 a cheek, and we're not talking about on her face. Okay? So he's paying for the booty. Shannon has always crossed me as that type of guy.
Yeah.
He's always said certain things on his podcast.
Any man who's not ashamed to listen. We all know people consume porn, but he's like very much like glorifying porn actresses. It's like you're a big money man, businessman, and you're not even picking a regular woman. You're picking a porn actress that you
OnlyFans. Mm-hmm.
OnlyFans, but even known porn actresses, like on his shows
Yes,
with
yes.
he's like, to your point, like he's called them out, like he knows them, so that's already to let you know where his head's at.
Yes, and on his podcast with Chad Okosincho, or Chad Johnson. I hate when they call him. I don't like that name, but anyway, Chad Johnson on his podcast with him, he's made some slick comments. He's made some slick comments. He has been warned several times from other, famous people such as Monique, such as Cat Williams. They have told him he needs to stay away from these young girls, but he don't listen. Unc don't listen. I've taken that out of his name in my vocabulary because I don't
Yeah,
consider him an Unc anymore.
he's just
He's
Shannon
just
Sharp now.
Shannon, Shay Shay at the most affection, Shay Shay. Because honestly, like what I heard was disgusting. It was appalling. Um, he definitely has a lot of sexual kinks. Um, he definitely likes to he likes his woman very petite, very so he can overpower them. Shannon Sharp is a walking hypocrite
Oh
because
yeah.
he has gone out of his way to call out other men who have young women in their lives, 21, 22. He's called them out and said, why are you taking up this young girl? Yet this is what he's doing in the background. Okay. So I remember, him particularly calling out a comedian about him dating a young lady who was 21 years old. And he's like, oh, why are you doing it? She's a little girl, blah, blah, blah. This girl is younger at the time than who you were calling out. At least his woman was 21, legal worldwide. This little girl, she's a teenager still at the time. I don't understand why he would even be interested in this little girl, but there's obviously a lot of sexual perversion.
Yes.
Um, he has a lot of sexual perversion for whatever the reason, you know. The fact that this little girl could be his granddaughter
Mm-hmm.
is disgusting in itself. So where am I going with this now? Where I'm going is that this workout particularly, we're going to talk about Shannon and his escapades with this young girl. And we really need to like dig deeper into Shannon because what he's out here doing. Like and the hypocrisy of it all. Like the hypocrisy just kills me. And how we now view Shannon, because I don't think that we're the only ones that feel this way. I feel like the world has pretty much turned on Shannon. Um,
Oh yeah. As they
ESPN,
should.
ESPN has kind of turned their back. They don't
Oh,
want nothing to do with him.
owned by Disney. Always remember that.
Okay. And when he was with ESPN, he had some, problems in the same area. So he was able to skirt on by that situation. But now people want to take this man down, and he is giving them the reason. Why would you go
Mm-hmm.
after a 19-year-old OnlyFans model? Why? You are 56 years old. All of his children are older than this little girl.
Mm-hmm.
What would you want this little girl for? And at the end of it all, how do we now see Mr. Shay Shay? Because Shannon's in these streets. What do you think about what's going on here with Shannon?
I'll keep it simple. I think he's an idiot. I think he has, and Charlemagne said it's so good. He has no dick control,
Yeah.
and I think I or let's just call it, okay, that's a crass way of saying it, but he doesn't have any type of control over his self, his desires, or whatever, his whatever it is you're into, whatever. I'm not kink shaming, but
Mm-hmm.
it's one thing to have whatever you do in the bedroom, that's one thing, right? And but you need to know your level of stature now. You're not a 30-year-old football player anymore,
No.
where these are things we'd expect from an athlete, to be honest, right? But now you've crossed over, you're in a new domain, you have a new levels of success on the line. He had a deal, so reportedly had $100 million podcast deal on the table. Which, forget ESPN, I think that's the real loss, right, at this point. So it's like, as a man of that age, once you're over, to me, sorry, if you're over 45, I think really 40, but fine, men are stupid. So let's say if you are a 45 plus year old man, I'm going to say 40. If you're a 40 plus year old man and you don't have any type of discernment or control over yourself,
At this
uh,
point,
at this point in life, then you're
mm,
not meant to have anything. And
no.
I mean, I'm talking of men of stature. I'm not talking
Yeah.
about an
Yeah.
average man, or whatever, who has nothing to lose. I'm talking about men who have something to lose and uh, on the table. And so again, it's fine to have, but you must have worked out a system now to control these type of situations. You have them signing contracts. You have the video of them saying they consent to whatever it is you agreed to
Mhm.
do. There's a
Mhm.
bunch of things that you do to control the legal aspect of it, and as well
Mhm.
as also you have to explore yourself. Why am I over 50 and I want to go after sex work or adult entertainers? Like,
Mhm.
why don't I just want to find a regular woman? I don't care the race. Why don't I just want to find a regular woman to just settle down with? And I could do all my free. Me and her, we match our freaks. Because that's what they're saying. The kids are saying now, match my freak.
Oh
So
my.
you find a regular woman to settle
Mhm.
down with, and
Match
and
your freak.
and match your freak, and at least you have control because you both have agreed in this steady relationship that this is what you're going to do, and that's it. Again, that's a way to protect yourself and still express whatever it is you feel you need to express.
Mhm.
This is just all undisciplined. This is all something for, not even, I wouldn't even expect this from a 30-year-old, but like, this is for somebody who has no master of themselves. And if somebody of his success now, his media success, I'm not, he was an incredible athlete, he has a lot of accolades, I'm not even going to touch that right
Mhm.
now. I'm talking about this era. He's in a new era, a new plateau, a new breath of life, and you're acting like this. You don't want nothing, you don't want success.
No.
Because if you wanted success, you minute you found out this girl was 19, it'd have been like,
You wouldn't even have looked at her. You wouldn't be
he
on
would have looked, but
OnlyFans.
he would have thought twice about actually engaging in the whole situation.
He
Because he
wouldn't
sounds like a freak.
if he was really smart. He wouldn't be caught dead on OnlyFans. You could go, listen. I've heard him talk about the strip club with Cat
Yeah.
Williams.
Hmm.
Like, there's too many places for a man of his stature to find women for him to go on OnlyFans.
Yeah.
There's too many. Okay, first, second, when you talk about his career as a football player, you would think that he just got into the league. He's just starting to make a little money,
That's how
and
he's
he goes out
acting.
here and finds some stupid ass girl out here. But this is a 56-year-old man who's had a full career in football, who's in the Hall of Fame.
Hmm.
Like, what are we talking about? You went to
Yeah.
pick up yourself a 19-year-old little girl? What we're saying is, I don't screw this career. That's what we're
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Are
Because
you
he keeps
having
on.
a midlife crisis or something?
Oh, it's too late for that. But he keeps on talking about, I was a setup. Listen, I don't doubt. I actually agree he was set up.
Yeah,
But you
you
know
fell
what? You
for
can
it, hook,
only
line, and
you can
sinker.
yeah, like, it was obvious if you listen to the conversations, as uncomfortable as those conversations are. They're clearly she's clearly saying specific things. A smarter man, a more sharper man, a man who was like, I'm not for the okey doke, would have picked up on that right away. I don't know if you saw that clip. You can look it up of Cameron talking about this, but he's
Yes,
talking
I
about,
did see it.
you saw,
Yeah.
it's hilarious
Cameron, I
how he's
can't.
like,
You're
I
too
can't,
much,
him and
Cameron.
Mace, I cannot. But
The two of them
anyway.
together is Diesel. Like, I just can't with them two. Them two. And they
But
feed off of each other, you know.
they feed off each
My
other and they
God.
just start going. But anyway, you guys have to watch for yourself. But in that clip, he's pretty much like, the minute I heard some of these things, I would have been like, click, no response.
Right? You
Like,
ain't
he was just
catching me
acting.
today. Click.
He was acting like the girl was having a regular conversation. The
I know.
girl was clearly trying to create a scenario. But I don't feel bad for him. Yes, he was set up, but I don't feel bad, and I think he should be held accountable because this was reckless behavior. And it's like, sorry, I mean, it's not the fact that you are sleeping with a sex worker or anything like that, but
No.
it's more the fact that you thought you can control and dictate this person, and it looks even worse because she's in the teens. Yes, she's of age, but it's still morally, as even if you win the case, which who knows what's going to happen, so
When
your
you picked
career and
this little
morally,
girl up, she was a teenager. When you
you
picked
look
her up,
disgusting,
she was a teenager.
and you knew that. It was not like, and you knew that.
Like, and that's the part. And not only that, but you were funding her life. So when I heard this recordings and stuff with this girl, I don't know how you could be that daft.
Hmm.
Shannon, you took too much licks to the head when you were in football, B, because anybody with half of a noggin could see that she was definitely egging you on. She was
Hmm.
definitely sifting through the conversation to get that ripe old point where you mess up, and she got it every single time. Like in the Texas, she got you in the Texas. She got you in the audio. It's like, did you want to get caught? Because this is sloppy beyond sloppy. I have
Hmm.
never heard so much sloppiness in all my day. First of all, why are you picking up a teenager? Because even if you are so able to hide all of this, if it ever comes to light, the fact that she's 19, and the reason why I'm pointing out her age is because we can see the power dynamic. You're 56 and she's 19. She's a little girl and you're a
Yeah.
grown ass
So
man.
that's where the setup argument that he's saying in the courts, it probably will be, respected a little bit more. But in the court of public opinion, we're all like, what? Get out of
It,
here with
it
this
will be
nonsense.
respected more, but this is why she can turn down the $10 million.
Yeah,
This is the reasons why, because she can say he took advantage of the fact that I'm a lot younger than him.
of course. Yeah.
Listen, I've said this before on this show. The most dangerous weapon out here is a white woman's tears.
Mm,
So all she has to do is start crying a little bits. Okay? She could all testify in pigtails. Like, she's a little girl. And anybody, even at 21, okay, she's still, in comparison to him, a little girl. And you can't run away from that. So I don't know why you'd pick up a little girl. On top of that, why would you put any of this in writing? There should be no
because
text of
he
any
made
kind.
every stupid decision. So it's like, I can't. You're acting like you're not a millionaire person who's on the cusp of a new level, and you have all these things on the line. You're not acting like somebody who has anything. I
No,
just
because
can't.
I
Oh,
think what it was is a little bit of cockiness. Like, the
yes, and that
cockiness
too,
has
of
gone
course.
to a whole new level with Shannon,
Oh,
because
yeah.
when Cat came out a couple years ago, he went soaring. People paid, not to say that
Yeah.
people didn't know who Shannon was before that, but there was a demographic that he tapped into when he had Cat Williams on his show. And
Mm-hmm.
in terms of him going into the entertainment direction, that interview just catapulted him. It literally did. And so now you have even more to lose. Even more to lose. So I didn't understand why he was being so sloppy. And I think it's because he really didn't think he'd get caught.
Mm.
There are people, there are men that reach a certain status and they feel as though they're invincible, that no one can touch them, that anything that happens, they're still going to be able to make money, they're still going to be able to go on, they'll be able to pay off whoever they need to pay off. Because this is not the first time that Shannon has tried to pay somebody off.
Mm-hmm.
When he was at ESPN, we see that he had situations there too. And he settled out of court. See what
Yep.
happens to a man who can settle for
Yeah,
doing
that's why he
sexual
felt
things
too
to
nice.
what they feel too good. They feel invincible. So now Shannon's like, I could go get me a little 19-year-old girl. I could go choke up the little girl too if I feel like it. And nobody's gonna say shit to me because I'm gonna pay her. Well, this little girl said, you better come with some more. 10 million is not enough. The fact that she put that shit out has ruined his career. So I
Mm.
mean, Shannon, I don't feel bad for you. I feel disgusted by you. I feel really, really saddened because I was going around here calling you Unc, and this is what Unc is doing in behind the door. He's choking out little 19-year-old girls. Like honestly, Shannon, you have a long battle ahead of you, my friend. I don't understand why you would be this sloppy after you see they're trying to take down the black man in the industry. Uh, P. Diddy, I mean, I'm not saying they're not justified. They are justified. Take him down. Then they came for Jay. They tried to take him down. Jay said, "Oh
Oh, we
no,
didn't
no,
we
you
didn't
don't."
mention we didn't mention the fact that Busby guy who tried to take down Jay is a part of this.
Oh,
He's a
okay.
lawyer.
Busby has been trying to he's been doing his rounds.
Mhm.
Okay, he's doing his rounds. And he's settling left, right, and damn center with everybody. Jay is the only one that said, "No, Mr. Busby, I'm a lot smarter than the rest of these fools." So, and we can see that with Shannon. Um, what I will say is you were warned, Shannon, so you had a chance to, you know, get rid of this situation before it even came to light. But when you step into the lion's den, you have to be prepared to get bitten. And at this point, you've been bitten, Shannon Sharp. And this girl ain't letting go. She ain't letting go till she get her money. So you better come out of pocket real quick if you want this to kind of be tucked away and under. Because if this goes further and further and further and further, your career is further and further in the hole. So, how I feel about Shannon now, you're a disgusted, perverted old man. That's how I feel about you. And you're not too smart neither. When Cat Williams was saying, he was talking in his interview with Shannon, and he was talking about Steve Harvey, and he made the old country bumpkin, old baby. That
Oh,
is
baby.
Shannon.
I can't wait.
You remember that part? It
Yeah.
made me. It till this day, it still makes me laugh. Okay, old baby. Yeah, Shannon. He was talking about you, fool. He was talking about you because I don't know how you were able to put yourself in this. You really thought no one was gonna come after you? Really, Shannon? Really? You didn't get out all these kinks in your football days? Really? You're 56-year-old man. Are you? What is, sir? For real? So we're gonna end the show and end this
Mhm.
workout. I don't want to go too far into how I feel about Shannon because I don't know if I can say some of these words on. But I think he's highly disgusting.
Mhm.
I don't care what happens to you. You
Nope.
are gonna go down. If this woman takes every dime you got, too damn bad. You should have learned. You should have learned. You got on by with your first problem with ESPN. You didn't learn nothing from that. You went and found a girl that was even younger. Like, are you kidding me, Shannon? You're not invincible. This is going to teach you the hard way. And for all the rest of the black men out there who are in the entertainment or sports industries, be careful. Be careful. Be very, very careful. Because a lot of these women are not in it for love. They're not in it even to just get laid. They're in it for the money. And they're coming for your money. So please protect yourself. Learn from Shannon. Learn from Jay Z. Learn from P. Diddy. Learn not to be a better criminal or, a sexual perversion. No, no, no. Not that. But that you have to move a certain way. You are a target. You are a target. Busby is coming after you. He's coming. He's trying to take down every black man in the industry. Okay, so be aware, be knowledgeable, and if you have a kink, go learn how to manage it. Go learn how to manage that. Go find you a girl who's okay with your kinks.
Yeah. And
Okay? Who's not
get
out
those
here trying to
NDAs,
use you.
get those NDAs, those consent forms.
I can't believe he moved so stupid. Like I felt like he moved so stupid. Another one thing that I want to mention quickly is this whole race thing.
Mm,
Um, yeah, that part
mm,
really does it rubs me the wrong way.
mm.
Um, the race part. Hey, I'm not shaming anybody's kinks. It just rubs me the wrong way. That this is a big black man who has found himself a very petite, small, young white girl. And the race is being tossed back and forth in their conversations, their sexual experiences, and so on. Um, it speaks volumes for Shannon on what he really thinks, you know, how he really feels as a black man. And he does give insight to other black men that might think like him. To be honest, I was kind of surprised that this was even a kink um, of his, but
I'm not.
I didn't think the race thing would be. To be honest, like I didn't think that. I don't know why. I just didn't think so.
It's
But
just typical. Like, and I shared a video with you from that influencer, Jesse Wu,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
something
she's
that, like,
yeah,
I'm not American, but but it is something that you can possibly see with, and we see it with here too, like basically black guys who maybe felt like they got dissed by black girls when they
yeah,
were younger, or they weren't considered attractive when they were younger, and so that's why they tend to go to other races for attention or dating purposes or whatever. And so, but it's funny and it's fine you do that because you have some type of trauma that you don't want to get over, right?
yeah. Hmm.
But then it's like you're allowing this white woman to call you all type of race names and call
Yeah,
you
that's the part.
big black this, big black that, and that's a one, that's what you said, you got this, that you were insulted as a young person from black women, and so now you're paying 25K a cheek to get that treatment.
Jesus, Miss.
Okay, Miss Karma's a
It
bitch.
is, and if she takes every dime you got, you're gonna learn. You're gonna learn today, and hopefully, Shannon, you do learn, and hopefully, anybody out there that's doing this that has something to lose, like I'm not saying violence should be protected or should be covered up or put to the side. I'm not saying that. But if you're going to be out in these streets as a man doing the things that Shannon's doing, I hope to God that you think before you do. Think about what you got to lose. Think about what is the community going to have to say, because it's public opinion that is destroying him.
No, he's done for.
It's over as far as I'm concerned. So they have taken him out. And who's going to want to do business with you from here? For real. Who? ESPN is backing away slowly. They're like,
Outside of the outside of the moral thing, it just makes you look like a messy person. Like you don't have your
yeah,
affairs in order.
yeah,
All these rich white men do all this same shit, but
they do.
we don't see about that.
No.
Why? Because they know how to contain the deal with
Yeah,
those
yeah,
situations. There's a way to do it,
yeah.
and for it not to be like this. And unfortunately, here we are.
Here we are. But Shannon, good luck to you, my friend. You're gonna need it, boy. You're gonna need some luck because this girl's coming for your account. She's coming for it. And at this point, the fact that we all know public opinion has destroyed your career, I don't know, like how you even gonna bounce back after that. You know what? I really don't even care. You're gonna have to figure it out. Just like how you figured out to find a 19-year-old girl from OnlyFans, you're gonna have to figure it out, Shannon. And any other man that's out here, let this be a tall tale to you. Okay? Let this be a tall tale to you. Maybe you need to stop your sexual perversions. Maybe you need to stop treating women like they're discardable. You know? Because I
Mm.
feel like, and this is not the only woman. Michelle is suing him too.
Michelle, Michelle.
Michelle I
Did you
swim
see
too.
Michelle?
I saw the picture. I was like, Shannon, okay, you
He
have a
doesn't
type.
have a type. He has a type in that they're white, but that's it.
That's it. That's it. Because I was
That's the criteria.
like, this is who this one right here, sir. This one is who you pick up. But okay, kudos to you. And Michelle was out. She was taking D. So girl, listen. I just this is going somewhere. I don't.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, we're
let's
gonna
wrap it up.
let's cease this up right here because Shannon, good luck to you. You're gonna need it. And in the meantime, we are we are super happy that everybody has joined us to listen. So we do hope that your hearts and minds were activated on this week's show. So whether you lead with your heart or your mind, please stay passionate and thoughtful. And we'll talk to y'all real soon. Bye.
Bye.